So, on similar stories revolving around this same kind of topic, you may have heard me allude in other videos to the fact that of all the false equivalencies that are made in our society today, probably one of the most common is equating love with sexual attraction. And these obviously are completely different things, as evidenced by the fact that there's plenty of people out there having sex that don't love each other at all, and in fact do great harm to each other. You hear this all over the place, movies, music. The LGBTQ movement uses this a lot. Love is love, right? To equate two forms of sexual activity that aren't the same at all. So we have a story, two people that one of them was married, okay, and was messing around with this other guy, and things went bad, man. And that's the only way things can go when people are cheating on their spouses, man. So we're going to get to details of this, and everybody that's doing online dating should be very acutely aware of this. The guy not too far from me, Wrigleyville, is a neighborhood where the Cubs play. It's on the north side over by Addison, like by Clark, all the way east. It's a very hot area as far as like young people that are coming, into the city, maybe from other areas. There's a lot of bars down there. And it seems to me that there's a big like dating scene around there because of all these bars, these restaurants, and just the age of the people. You got a lot of people in their late 20s, early 30s that are mingling over there all the time. At night, the place is always jumping, especially when the Cubs are playing. So you got to watch out for stuff like this, though, man. And the girl in this story, one of them, seems to have been showing precautions that were a good idea, but she didn't go far enough. So anyways, CWB Chicago is reporting that a man accused of sexually assaulting a woman in the suburbs in January is now accused of sexually assaulting a second woman in his Wrigleyville apartment before officials charged him with the first case. So the media outlet The Patch, shout out to The Patch, they do a lot of good work, in February had reported that a guy named Ethan Livingston, he's 28, had been charged with sexually assaulting a married woman who had an affair with him after he tried to extort money from her to cover up their relationship. Now, the key part of this is that she had not disclosed to him that she was married when they first started having sex. So prosecutors said that Livingston and the women started a relationship after meeting on a dating app last year. And I told you guys these dating apps, this is one of the most common forms of robbery set up. Now, this particular situation was not that, but that is almost like a daily occurrence over here, man. People meeting on the dating apps and then getting robbed, okay? Or, he brings a woman inside the house. When she's got him all laid out, then she gets up, he opens the door, and the dudes that she's in on this with were waiting outside. They come in and then rob the place. Very common, very common. So be careful of that in Chicago, guys. And that's why I always say it's better to stay in public places, especially when you're dealing with people that you're just meeting for the first time. And even people that you're meeting they've been known for a while, because a lot of people are using other people for licks. And I mean, like straight finesse type stuff. And so anyways, prosecutors say that this guy Livingston had met on this dating app and they were linking up, kicking it, but she didn't let him know that she was married, okay, on the dating app. And a lot of people on those dating apps be lying like crazy. Eventually, she ended the affair. And then Livingston allegedly learned that she was married after she had ended the affair. So he demanded $10,000 from her in exchange for silence. So, he could have gone to the husband and told him what was going on, but he's saying, you better pay me these 10 racks or I'm not going to do that. So the woman, quote, felt compelled to continue to have sex with him to keep him from exposing their relationship, according to the allegations. So she's in way too deep at this point, right? I mean, this is already like past the point of no return. And things are already going really bad. So the woman, she felt compelled to do this. Now, who knows if that's true or not? You got to take everything that she's saying with a grain of salt. But at a Glenview hotel in mid-January, and by the way, Glenview is a suburb to the north of Chicago, pretty expensive area, except for some cheap apartments. They're like out by Golf Mill Mall. But Livingston allegedly threatened to tell the woman's husband about their affair. He grabbed her by the throat and then sexually assaulted her, according to The Patch. So anyways, he posted a $2,000 bail deposit and went home to await trial. So about 2 weeks after the hotel incident and before prosecutors filed charges in the case, Livingston arranged to meet with another woman that he had been chatting with on the Bumble app, according to prosecutors. So before going out with Livingston, this was a 25-year-old woman. She told him that she did not want to have any physical contact, like she didn't want to have sex on the date. And she told two friends where she was going, according to a transcript of his bail hearing. The woman also shared her phone's location with her friends, so they would know where she was. She asked them to check in with her occasionally and sent them Livingston's picture from Bumble. Okay, so she's taking precautions ahead of time. She's using the dating apps, but she's being careful. Okay, she's taking all the precautions. She picked Livingston up at his apartment over in the 900 block of West Dakin. So he lived over by Halstead. This is a pretty like hip, like upscale area over there. When you get over by Halstead, this was around 8:30 p.m. on February 2nd. They went over to a place called Al's Beef, and I know you guys may have seen that. I passed that, I think, in a couple of videos when I was like riding my bike over by Wrigleyville, and then returned to his place to eat the meal. Okay, so mistake number one: she's taking all these precautions with her friends. She's telling her friends where she's going to be at, sending him his picture. But then she goes back to the guy's place. When you're in his place, you're on his turf. Okay, this is a dude you don't know. This is the first time you're meeting up. You're going over to his place. That's kind of dangerous. A lot of people, I've said these precautions before, and people say you're a nerd, man. Like you're being overly paranoid. I'm being overly paranoid for a reason. I mean, this kind of thing happens all the time. You guys don't read the news as much as I do. This is the kind of thing that goes down almost daily. And I have like very close personal friends that have been raped. I'm talking about like female friends that have been raped. Okay. And this is after I had told them. There was one, she was in college. She was a college student, girl I had known for many years. She was meeting this guy. She, was going over to his dorm. I said, I don't think it's a good idea for you to go to his dorm alone. He's such a nice guy. I'm like, okay, you're grown. I can't tell you what to do. I'm just saying, that's my advice. You can take my precautions or not. Yeah, well, he raped her. Okay. And I was tempted after she told me about this to say, I told you so, but I didn't say that because, she just gotten raped. But, I wasn't going to, like, pour salt on an open wound. But this kind of thing really happens for real. It's like, I think 1 in 4 women, like, in college at some point gets raped. So, and a lot of them don't ever report it. And a lot of times there's no evidence for the stuff because they only talk about it, like, months after the fact. And by that time, all the physical evidence is gone. So, ladies, that's my advice. And guys, too, because like I said, the ladies are using this stuff for setups. So anyways, the woman later told the investigators that she felt fine after having 3 glasses of wine with her food. Okay, but then she became suspicious when he said that he was going across the street to buy more wine. And he returned very quickly with an already open box. So, okay, it's time to dip. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, it's time to dip. You've had 3 glasses of wine. He's going to buy more wine. And then instead of, taking the amount of time that it should take to go across the store to get the wine, he immediately returns, okay, with a box that's already open. Time to dip. He poured her a glass from the new box, and then she began feeling faint after a couple of sips, okay, which is not surprising at all. The woman went in and out of consciousness 4 times over the next few hours. After waking up the first time, she FaceTimed her friend, but she was mumbling and didn't make much sense, according to prosecutors. See, ladies, this is the kind of stuff that happens. This is why I act like a dork, because of this. She told her friends that she would call an Uber, but lost consciousness again. Prosecutors said the woman became physically ill when she awakened the second time, then passed out again only to wake up a third time as Livingston was sexually abusing her. According to the allegations, the woman threw up again and realized that both she and Livingston were naked. Officials said that she texted her friends around this time, but later learned that her messages were jumbled letters that made no sense. After passing out again, she awakened around 2 a.m., noticed that her friends had been trying to contact her, and arranged for one of their boyfriends to pick her up. Okay, now for the friends, if you're getting texts like that, they're just jumbled letters, and if she's on some app, mumbling and not making sense, you got to put 2 and 2 together at that point and just roll. Just hop in the whip and roll. Because, you already know what time it is, like if that's going on. So the man called 911 after locating the victim, but she told police that nothing happened and that she was okay. Prosecutors said that she appeared highly intoxicated and rambled on video recorded by the officer's body cameras. So 3 glasses of wine, okay, she was saying that she felt fine. 3 glasses, I don't know, everybody's got a different tolerance, but if just 1 more glass after that makes a huge difference like it was here, this thing has been spiked. Even if it hasn't, you just have to assume that. But anyways, that man called 911. She went to her doctor the next day and then to a hospital to have a sexual assault evidence kit collected, which tested positive for male DNA. while she was at the hospital, Livingston sent her a Snapchat video of his penis with a message saying that he had sex with her the night before, according to prosecutors. So the attorney representing Livingston during the bail hearing told the judge that there was no toxicology evidence showing the woman was drugged and no report of any physical injury. The case, they said, is going to be a he said, she said. So he actually reached out to her and asked her to pay for the Afghan rug that she had gotten sick on. He wasn't trying to hide anything or anything like that, according to the lawyer. So he suggested that prosecutors file the charges to bolster their allegations in the Suburban case, which he said the Cook County State's Attorney's Office rejected when police presented it to them. So the detective then went to several supervisors and got charges approved later. This is according to his lawyer. He said the Suburban case is much different from what prosecutors alleged, too. He said it's not some kind of date rape or anything like that. It was a girl he met where they dated for like 10 months. In that case, he found out she was married. He wanted to go tell the husband what was going on. She offered to pay him. Later on, she told the police that he was extorting her. They're trying to buttress the other case, he said. She's the one that actually drank wine. They had consensual sex, and actually she did get sick on his rug. In fact, Judge, he even told her about him being arrested for that other case. So Livingston has a doctorate in physical therapy from Baylor University and worked as a physical therapist in downtown Chicago for several years. The judge ordered Livingston to pay a $20,000 bail deposit to be released from jail. So he's charged with 2 counts of aggravated sexual assault in the Wrigleyville case. Okay, so obviously both of these ladies, they made mistakes from the get-go. I mean, he obviously made a lot of mistakes, but when I cover cases like this, a lot of people always get mad at me. They say you're blaming the victim when I give like precautions that women can take. Here's why I do that. Blame is only useful if it's constructive and if it can lead to something being done different in the future that can prevent it from happening again. If I blame the perpetrator, which technically is appropriate, that's probably not going to make anyone safer because the perpetrators are going to do what they're going to do. But the victims are the ones that can take precautions and change their behavior to prevent that from happening again. I would not walk around in society and conduct myself like everyone's acting the way that they should act, because they're not. At the end of the day, you're the one that's going to get burned. So going over to his apartment was the big mistake. Okay, number one. Number two, for the other woman, obviously cheating on her husband was a big mistake. And then when he threatened to tell her husband, at that point, she should have just said, okay, tell him. Like, she should have just confessed to her husband and herself, you know what I'm saying, and said, I cheated on you, I'm sorry. I'm not, messing around with this guy anymore. I'm the one who chose to break the relationship off. And, I gave in to temptation, blah, 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 and then just see what happens. Continuing to have sex with the guy? Nah. That's basically, that's making an already bad problem even worse. This isn't especially a problem that is faced by immigrant women, okay? Because a lot of them, they don't report stuff to police. They could be deported. And the rapist can use the threat of deportation, basically as leverage to keep them quiet. Okay, so the best policy, man, is don't, go out in groups, like with a group of people. That's always the best way to do things. And then just get to know the person that way. I mean, like really well, you know what I'm saying? Because you go along with the person, and, I know I'm talking to people of all religions here, but, atheists, Muslims, Christians, whatever you are. Atheists, I guess they're going to do what they're going to do, but for Christians and Muslims, really shouldn't be doing that anyways. I know Malcolm X and Betty Shabazz, like, they only dated in groups because that was against, like one-on-one dates was against his beliefs. And that's probably a good idea, you know what I'm saying? Because then you really get to know the person first. And when two people are alone, it kind of, it lights that fire. And, then you're counting on yourself to be strong enough to resist that temptation. And most people are not. So anyways, man, that's my 2 cents on that. Use precautions, guys. And again, Cook County's light system, man, you see this guy got like a $2,000. It was probably a $20,000 bail because he would have had to pay 10%. And the second time it was probably a $200,000, but he only has to pay $20,000. So, and he, like I said, he's probably got that. I don't know his finances like that, but with that job, he might have that amount of money. I don't think the guy should have gotten any bail. personally. You guys let me know what you think down in the comment section, man, because the guy's obviously a threat. If what these ladies are saying is true, obviously at this point it's still allegations, but she did go and get the DNA thing. I know women falsely report rapes a lot of time, but this is twice now with two different women. So I would not date this dude if you're a woman. If he gets out on bond, stay clear of him. This is your boy Chicago News. I'm out.